I'm not going to give you something which normally the economists or other faculties are preparing. These are my observations which I have seen as the Secretary General of the Indo-African Chamber. And as you know that these days we have been given a very big responsibility of promoting India's share of exports in Africa as compared to any other country. So these are something which I wanted to address to my Indian friends as well as my African dignitaries here on the dais and my delegates, that what all of us join together we should do, and what are my observations, what Indians are feeling about Africa and what Africans are feeling about India. We all know that there exist ample business opportunities in Africa. Similarly, India has excellent skill development capabilities, good technology. Time and again it has been proved that India can only be a trustworthy partner of Africa. Although we believe in this, but still need to play a very pivotal role. How? I will tell you. The African needs to explain about the Indian market, about identifying the right partner, the scale of preference, the rules, regulations, etc. At the same time, the Indian needs to be taught how to do business with Africa, which is far more different than doing business with any other country. There is a communication gap, the language barriers. One needs to understand the requirements fully. Both of them need to win and gain the trust between themselves. This is a very important point. We Indians are always in a hurry to conclude the business. I have always seen that people, when they come for membership, they ask me, Madam, today I become a member, tomorrow you give me a contact, day after tomorrow I meet the person, I sign an agreement with him, we immediately expect an LC from him. Africa is full of opportunities, but you have to have patience and you must give some time for that. Many a time I have seen that people keep on asking some people who have success stories that what do you find in Africa, assuming that they will get an encouraging response. But 90% believe me, the people who have been successful in Africa do not encourage any other company parallelly to do business with Africa. And we Indians get played in these things immediately, and then we stop proceeding further in doing these ventures. Now, some of the companies who are multinational companies who have been successful in Africa because they have surveyed the market thoroughly, they have done their research properly, they have understood the scope of work, they have found out the solutions, and they have become a successful conglomerate today. It doesn't mean that there are no problems and no hurdles. There are. But there are ways and means to overcome them. I heard some people saying that, okay, this project was very good, but there were these many problems were there. I wanted to tell those people that why the Africans are looking at us, because they want us to be their partner. They have faith in us. They have confidence in us. They love us. They respect us. They want to be a developing economy the way we are. And that is why they are dependent on us. See, the relationship with India and Africa is going way back in the history. But our contribution of business with Africa has not grown as compared to the size of our country. So this is a small attempt what myself in the capacity of the Secretary General of the Chamber, I'm trying to put it before you. Many a time it is observed that we do not get feedback from either party, may it be an Indian party, may it be an African party. We immediately come to a conclusion about the other company. We have never tried to see and think what mistakes we have done. We feel today we meet a buyer, as I told you, that we immediately want to conclude the deal, but it is not done in real life. Both the buyer and the seller must equally walk, should take equal risk of doing business, should share equal profits, and we must understand that why Africa needs us today, because we are a well-developed economy. They expect us to be a partner with them so that there should not be hunger, there should not be an unemployment, there should not be crime, and we can give them a fair society. Most of the time when I'm sitting in the chamber and meeting people, I keep on addressing, encouraging, motivating people that how to do business with Africa, what they have to do, and how they have to brand their country's image, how transparency they should involve in their business, and how they should win the confidence of the counterpart first before doing the business. As you know that we have given a target of $160 billion of revenue from Africa by 2025. As we all know that we have a new government in Central, and this is what they are expecting for us to do business with Africa. Africa is shifting in the face of all glitches that are present on the ground. There is a rising middle class, which is energetic, educated, is looking for guidance and directions only. Today, Africa is home to most of the budding economies in the world and is also chucking out more and more refined young professionals. It is time to capitalize the economic engagement in Africa. Indeed, Africa is the only resource-rich continent in the whole world. There are a lot of gifted opportunities of expansions and trade across a continent of nearly 1 billion people. This will lead to economic growth, both justifiable and beneficial. I will share with you one incident that in the recent news I have read in the newspaper that US-based private companies, they have added to the tune of $12 million for the government's electrification program in Africa. And in return, what they have got? They have got $14 billion worth business in the African continent in various sectors like finance, management, banking, construction, information technology, etc. So I want to spread a message to all my Indian brothers here that this kind of things we should adopt in our routines and we should do, this is the way we should do business with Africa. The main object should be to help Africa grow rather than simply extract the resources. We Indians have high regards and respect for Africa, so we must prove to be a good partner, an equal partner, a partner for a long term. Africa needs to bridge a huge financing gap. The investment has connected to resource extractions and exports and have not led so far the enhancement of productive capacity and much needed job creation. There should be equal dissemination of the benefits of the revenue earned for their extractions, but up till now, it is not done, nor they have such revenues being utilized to boost the industrialization. Now, for example, when we are talking about big projects to be executed in any of the African country, it takes nearly 1.5 or 2 years. But my appeal to my Indian brothers here is to have special emphasis on public-private partnership, enter into small, medium size of projects where investment is small, reasonable, good, and returns are fast and good, which will also can make their partnership strong with the local Africans and create employment opportunities. We have to make our own initiatives without making much delay. We are thinking too much. We should not think. We should immediately, now this is the time that we have to act. Africa's problem going forward is not only to invest more, but to invest better. We need to promote labor-intensive industrialization, technology-driven innovations. Africa's growth is widespread and has almost everywhere been investment-driven rather than consumption-led. There are 4 more changes are unfolding at sector level across Africa. Number 1 is African agriculture is growing faster than agriculture anywhere else. We must make use of this opportunity. Growth seems to be bypassing Africa's manufacturing sector. Number 3 is Africa's natural resources sector has tripled its contribution to growth. Number 4 is the growth in Africa's service sector has been enormous and is bound to be a lot higher than estimated now. The growth should be more pro-poor, more job creating, more supportive of the integration and gainful employment for the African youth and women. Although India has recently built momentum in Africa, you can see these are all the members of the chamber who have successful stories and histories in Africa. But still, some economies like China and Middle East are further ahead than that of us. India can have a special value proposition to partner in Africa's development based on mutual catalyst, geographical proximity, cultural affinity, and India's strength. We have to take action and inspire for changes. My request to all my honorary councils of Africa sitting here is, Africa is a continent of 54 countries, a very big target. We have to work out a lot of synergies amicably, and we have to give ourselves some target. The target is that with the help of our brother ambassadors sitting here, let us plan a delegation, a small medium delegation. We are not going to show any power. We are going to take serious business entrepreneur, may it be small medium economy. We are not comparing with anyone. We have to take it where we can go do partnership with those people. If often we visit to Africa, the fear about Africa in the mindset of Indians will go. The encouraging motivation spirit will encourage them to decide themselves to do business. And that will change the real scenario, and that is the challenge. Like maybe 4 of us are handling West Africa. So if those 4 honorary councils plan a visit, and we can take about a delegation of 10 to 15 days to the neighboring countries, we can have sectoral visit, maybe for pharma, maybe for engineering, maybe for SMEs, job creating, employment, textiles are concerned, something which creates employment opportunity for the locals. Those things we can work out. And this will really improve the level of comforts, and it will bring both the business and African and Indian community together. See, the ambassadors are doing their job very well, absolutely no problem. The governments are taking their own job, but this is the public-private partnership. It is the private sector who has to do something and really have to do something. I have given myself the agenda that this year, we are going to go to at least 16 to 20 companies with the help of our honorary councils in Mumbai. We have already started working with large scale for coming vibrant Gujarat. Last year we had all the presence of our African ambassadors. This year we are going to have an Africa pavilion where we are planning to call the different African representatives, the Investment Promotion Board, the Export Promotion Council, to showcase their capabilities. Similarly for Elecrama, we are bringing out about 750 African businessmen engaged in solar energy, renewable energy, green energy, hydropower, so on and so forth. We are also planning to take over the India Engineering Sourcing Show, which comprises of engineering activity, then the Indian Pharmaceutical Exhibitions, the Global Summit, the Plast Vision. Let me share with you that I am proud to inform you that our chamber has been working with different state government for doing this kind of a summit. You must have seen the summit which is taking place in Indore. So chamber has been pioneer in promoting and bringing Africa in Indore. Most of our ambassadors who are there present today, or you are not there, they have been there. And we have also mounted a big delegation from Africa for them. We want to advise to our brother ambassadors that we can assist the government to get project finance from reputed institutions. As I told you that we have Blaine Finance, we have Chartered Finance, we have SK Capital. There are so many authorities who are giving, so that dependency on the line of credit gets reduced. There should be a clear commitment to fast-track implementation or execution of big projects in crucial sectors like oil and gas, power, railways, etc. The policy should change from country to company. It should now not remain between country to country. There should be a combined efforts. Also, the cost of doing business should be measured, monitored, and reported periodically on the progress made, aiming to reduce the barrier. The cluster approach. Cluster approach is a key to industrialization, rejuvenation, which means rather than having larger manufacturing zones, smaller clusters should set up to enhance existing manufacturing zones. We have election declared in our state, otherwise I had plans to take all my African delegates to various industrial zones about 120 kilometers away from Mumbai to show them how the SMEs, which are more than 80,000 in Maharashtra, and how successfully they are working. But unfortunately, because of the elections, we are unable to take it. But apart from that, what we feel is there should be a commitment and a time-bound program for more decentralization. There should be a good atmosphere which could boost employment opportunities. These days, we have been working on the project which have been signed in various summits, but they have not been executed for so many other reasons. We don't want to get into the reasons, but we really go into the deep what went wrong. So what we do, if we find that the concerned Indian company which is signed and unable to execute, we replace that Indian company. May it be a member of our chamber or may not be, but he should be an Indian company, because our object is to promote India in Africa and protect the interest of our African brothers in India. A healthy competition between the local cities who serve as a tonic to employment growth. The importance of innovation-led growth. Innovation-led competitiveness, innovation-led recovery should be made to understand, because it lacks a robust international innovation. I'll just take you through some graphics where we show that more than half of African 55 countries are expected to grow faster than 5% annually till 2025. Now, if you see countries like Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Angola, Morocco, Ethiopia, they'll count for 70% of Africa's total GDP growth between 2013 to 2025. India and Africa can gain significantly from mutual cooperation. Now, what we need, what is India's value proposition? Low-cost innovation, operating model, cultural affinity and understanding, skill and talent development, entrepreneurship and service orientation. On the other hand, what is the Africa's value proposition? Suitable base for globalization for Indian companies, largest working age population, huge untapped opportunity in rising middle class, vast resources. Now what Africa needs? They need constructive FDI, employment and job opportunity for their people, education and skill development, low-cost healthcare solution, infrastructure and capital. And what is India's requirement? High returns and growth opportunity, hedging of resources risk, and base for globalization. See, I would like to just bring your attention to a point called India's business aspiration for Africa. These figures are given in US dollar. That what is India's import from Africa in 2013? It is 43 billion. What we are expecting in 2025 is 300 billion. You can compare from 43 billion, we are going to 300 billion. India's exports to Africa today is 27 billion, but our target is 130 billion. The high potential sectors like IT services, we are today between 1 to 2 billion. We are aiming at 7 billion. Consumer goods, we are less than 1 billion, but we are looking at 17 billion. Infrastructure, we are less than 1 billion. We are aiming at 25 billion. Agriculture and allied, we are less than 1 billion, but we are emphasizing for 5 billion. And overall, this is 35 billion, and we are aiming at 160. So India's FDI in Africa is now it is 60 billion, and we are planning to have 100 billion in near future. I would like to share with you what are the 10 imperatives for Indian companies to win in Africa. What are the strategies? Where to play? How to play and organize to win? What are the imperatives? Number one, prioritize early, go granular, expect to iterate, distribution is the key, aggressively build brand, deliver value across price segment, think long term. Sometimes it happens that currency fluctuates. By the time the overseas person is giving you the order, you are not making profits. Sometimes you are at par. So don't think to grab the profit in one shipment itself. Always have the vision to do long-term business. If it's consignment to consignment, all of you will see, you'll never reach or look at the profit. But at the end of the year when you'll see, you will always see the trend of profit in that. Partner with local government to create opportunity. Invest in building local tenants. These are some of the business opportunities which I wanted to inform you that individual African countries have sector-wise classification. Like in agriculture sector, we have 92 projects. These are approved by both the government, the African government and the Indian government. Like it is for agriculture technology, food processing, tractors, fisheries, agro-pastoral, agro-equipment, live cattle animals, water, waste management. Now, which are the countries? Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, DR Congo, Congo Republic, Ivory Coast, Ethiopia, Gabon, Gambia, so on and so forth. Similarly, there are projects for skill development capacity in education, training center, laboratories. There are 13 such projects are available in the country specified, worth $680 million. Infrastructure, like putting up a cement plant, construction industry, iron and steel, real estate development, railways and ports. It's about 270 such projects are there, worth 62,435 million. And again in those countries. IT companies, we have computer software, ITs, BPO. There are good 8 strong projects worth 1,357 million. Manufacturing segment, you have general machinery, machine tools, technology, turnkey projects, 17 projects worth 501.82 billion. Now, mining, if you see, drilling equipments, earth-moving equipments, minerals, etc., there are 33 such projects worth $2645 million. Healthcare and pharmaceutical. Healthcare, drugs, hospital, we have 27 numbers of projects. These are the projects declared by Government of India in the summit for the year to conclude between 2013 to 2015. Power and energy, we have thermal, we have coal, we have dams, oil and gas, we have petroleum product, renewable energy. There are 42 such projects worth 12,830 million. Telecom, we have TV and FM tower communications. Similarly, for tourism and trade, we have, and miscellaneous also we have. So total number of projects are 549, and total value of project is $84.379 billion. So my message to all of you is that since we are going to be here for 3 days, let us meet together, exchange the idea, invite both the counterpart, give them the confidence of deliverables and execute the project. There's a lot of dissatisfaction prevailing between our African brothers. These days I'm getting all the complaints of not delivery in time, quality product has not maintained, shipment has been delayed, sometimes shipment is directed somewhere, so on and so forth. So we want to curtail those things. As the capacity of Secretary General in the Chamber, whatever we can do, we have more than 4,000 odd members, we have 10,000 associate patron members. So these are enough. We are doing work jointly with our counterpart Chamber of Commerce in Hyderabad, in Bhubaneswar, in Assam and other remote area. So this year we wanted to concentrate half on trading, promoting SMEs and half on doing JV projects. Then only we'll be able to talk about the growing India-African partnership led by the private sector in real sense. With these words, I thank you all for the support extended to me and my chamber for this noble cause. Thank you very much. Thank you.